request for your annual month 1 year rental payment if you are renting before they give you a house. They also can go further to ask your landlord to give you a reference. So if it's on direct debit and you don't miss it, it helps to boost your credit. Okay, so keep up with that. If you are renting, pay on time. What's the next question on that?
I think the difference between investment and business.
Okay, investment is you making a plan to put some money into an activity, maybe a house or buying a shop and all that. Whereas a business, the purpose of the business has to be identified. What is the business you want to do? There are lots of types of business. And most of the business, you have to register them with Company House, give a company name to it so that they can track your trading, and also they can track the profit or loss. So depending on what you want to do, so they can be interwoven, but you need to understand what kind of business you want to do, whether it's investment. But investment basically is just putting your money into a project that you will receive a return. Whereas a business, you have to trade to be able to do that.
All right, thank you so much, sir. We have a question here. What is the difference? Okay, what is the place of credit score in possessing a property? As you implied, it is not as important as your behavior when you had the credit.
Okay, please, I want to just disabuse your minds about credit score. It's deceptive when you are looking at financial advice. Score can be there. Some people have score, but when we check the details, there are defaults that have been there and all that. So a credit report is better, is what shows us what your behavior. So if you have anything, like if you have borrowed money, either a credit card or a water bill or electric bill, or even you have had a parking ticket, please pay that. Don't argue with any person who has given you a parking ticket. You cannot win them. If you don't pay on time, you get a CCJ, County Court Justice. And if you have a County Court Justice, that will keep you for 6 years before most lenders can consider you. All right? So let me just let you know that if you miss your payment number one, miss payment one, they can ignore it. But if it's for mortgage, if for secure lending, they are not happy. So when you miss payments 3 times, it becomes a default. So a default is hard. So lenders would not want to consider you. And if you default can become a CCJ. Okay? So try and manage your finances anyhow. Don't borrow what you don't need. Manage how much is your income. Don't borrow beyond your income. Keep it at the level that you'll be able to pay at any point in time. Okay.
All right. The next question says, aside from property investment, in what other ways can we invest in the UK? And then I will add this question. Can you dwell more on life insurance, sir?
Okay. Right. You can invest in many things. You can invest in shares. You can invest in ISA. You can invest in bonds. There are corporate bonds and all that. So those ones, if you have investment, and let me tell you, investment is not £1,000. If you have £1,000, don't think about investment. You can just put that in the bank as an ISA, because by the time an advisor digs deep into your investment, by the time they tell you the charge of £1,000 you have, they will take all the money as the fee you are paying them. So if you are thinking of investment, save up to 10,000, 15,000, and begin to talk about investment. Okay? So, but if it's just 1,000 or 200 pounds, put it in ISA, and you get the minimum interest rate that accrues to that. Okay? So, dwelling about life insurance, I think that's the question. Okay. There are life insurance, we call them three categories of life insurance. We have what we call the level term life insurance, which when you take it, it stays over the time. It can be 20 years, it can be 25 years. At the end of that 25 years, if the policyholder did not die, they will not pay any cash. So that's what we call there is no cash in value. It's not an investment, okay? There is what we call also a decreasing term assurance. That one is the one taken against the loan on a mortgage. So it decreases over time so that it ends with the amount of loan you owe on that property. Then the other one we call, another life insurance is what we call whole of life. That one, if you have that policy, is actually meant to pay out liability, okay? And that one can end at the age of 99, but the maximum you may be able to get could be 15,000, except you have an estate that the financial advisor will assess so that you can also use it to pay inheritance tax. Those are the three main categories of life insurance, okay?
You say something about stock and shares. Can you advise that somebody should go into stock and shares more than property?
Well, depending on the risk appetite of the person, it's just about risk appetite. So I can't give somebody what works for A might not work for B. So if anybody is asking that question, you need to speak to an advisor who will be able to assess your holistic circumstance to be able to give you an advice. So both of them are sources of investment, and the income can come, returns can come from them. But depending on what you want, that has to be established before you can decide which option you should be going for.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I want to kindly inform you that as this program is going on here is online, so people take one or two questions online, then we'll come back to the congregation also. Okay. So we have question from online. We have somebody saying, can you buy property, or can you buy your first property as a buyer to lend? That is, can you buy your first property as a buy to lend property, or as a first timer buyer? Does it have to be a residential property?
Okay, I can say yes, you can buy your first property as a buy to let, but you must be a British national. Okay, so anybody that is a British national that doesn't have a residential property, lenders can accept you to buy a house for rent. So, and not all the lenders do it. So we know some lenders who can accept that. All right. So there are so many other documents to prove that you have the ability to manage a property as a landlord. So that's a yes, but there are caveats for it. Then the next one is, as we recommend people to, before you start thinking of business, buy your own house, because you are still paying rent. Because the more rent you are paying, you are making somebody rich somewhere. At least they are getting some part of the money to pay the mortgage. It might not be all of that. So if you have this desire to start doing property, buy your own home first. When you buy a home, after you live there for 6 months and the property has appreciated, you can remortgage it, okay? Or maybe wait until you have some equity. Then you can start your business as buy to let. Or if you have additional money, yes, after 6 months, you can also buy your own business property, which we call buy to let. The reason is that the regulations are different. The laws for each of them are different. So you need to understand what you want to do first by speaking to an advisor. Thank you.
All right. We have another question from online. There is always adverts online that you can rent property even though you don't have property.
Please, I want to encourage you. online is not a best place to do anything as far as advice is concerned. You see them, they put advice, yeah, you can rent. Who will give you their own home when you don't have a stake on it? They can tell you, oh, you don't need to have a property. You can